Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this EOTech and this Magnifier, also from EOTech. These two are part of the OpMod line from Optics Planet, but essentially the specs are exactly the same. What we're going to do now is just keep shooting some rounds through it, make sure it works, functions as it should. But those of you guys that watched one of my recent Q&A videos know that I'm a big fan of this EOTech. I think it's probably the best one they put out to date, and we're going to talk about why that is coming up next after we put a few more rounds on steel, hopefully. Getting into the details, I suppose we'll go over each component by itself and then the system as a whole. First off, the EXPS3 here gives you a little 1/3 co-witness with your AR style sights. So even on the Tavor or the AROC 21 like you guys saw today, as long as you're using the standard AR height sights, we'll still give you that lower 1/3 co-witness. It does have side buttons, which is huge for EOTech fans out there. I know a lot of you guys were wanting this. I'm a fan of it as well, particularly when used with the Magnifier. It becomes very handy, and even not with the Magnifier, it's much more intuitive, in my opinion, than having to push buttons back here. It does weigh in at 11.2 ounces. It's compatible with night vision devices, as you saw in the intro. So with those shots, we were using the PVS-14, which is a level 3+ or Gen 3+, I should say, night sight, but it'll work with your Generation 1 night sights as well. You get 10 different levels of brightness with your night vision optics and 20 with daylight optics. It comes on, I believe they call it level 12 when you turn it on. Your standard mode, and that's pretty much if you're sitting around a house in normal lighting, that's what most folks would kind of prefer in terms of brightness. If you step outside in bright sunlight, you're going to want to turn it up. In low light, you're going to want to turn it down. So it's a good sort of middle ground in terms of when you turn it on. I guess we should talk about turning it on. And battery, your battery compartment is right up here. It works with one CR123 battery. And the compartment up here is sealed. This thing is submersible down to 10 meters. I think it's like 33 feet. And there's your battery. So one of the big improvements versus the earlier versions of EOTechs is the way this battery is oriented. The old ones used to be perpendicular, or I should say in line rather, with the rifle. So the recoil would kind of cause some issues. This absolutely does not have those issues. And it was one of the primary reasons these sights were redesigned. So that's one of the reasons. It's, in my opinion, one of the best ones, if not the best, that EOTech's ever put out. And that's the battery. It'll give you 600 continuous hours of use. And if you turn it on by hitting the up arrow, it will auto shut off at 8 hours. And if you turn it on by hitting the down arrow, it'll auto shut off within 4 hours. That's if you don't hit these up or down buttons at any time during that period. As soon as you hit one, it will reset. That includes toggling back and forth to night vision. To do that, you're just going to hit the night vision mode. And again, to turn it on, we'll get our reticle, which you see here. It's much more blurry on camera than it looks in real life. And like I said, to toggle to night vision, you just hit the button, and you guys can't see it, but I assure you it's displaying night vision mode, and turn it back on by toggling through there. You get a reticle blinking when there's 2.5 to 5 hours of usable battery left. So it's going to let you know if your battery's getting low and it's time to change it, which I think is a very good feature that some of the earlier EOTechs didn't have, but this one, as well as some of its predecessors, does have, and it's very useful in my opinion. Longtime viewers of the channel know that I wasn't always a big fan of magnifiers, and actually I'm still a little bit sort of hit or miss in terms of them, but in my opinion, this is the best one out there on the market that I've used to date. A couple reasons. First off, a lot of magnifiers are really heavy, like extremely heavy. This one here comes in at 11.9 ounces, which compared to some of the competitors on the market is very light. That includes the mount here. So it's a 1-inch mount, as you guys can see here from the picture as it looks when you actually separate it out. And it's very intuitive to use. The flip is extremely durable, extremely rugged, and low profile. Again, those are things that really weren't seen on a lot of the earlier magnifiers. It gives you a 3.25 fixed magnification, and you're gonna have 2.2 inches of eye relief, which on an AR pattern rifle, really, if you set it up behind your optic, it's pretty much exactly where your head would be anyway. Most folks like to keep their nose relatively within range of the charging handle, and you'll be just fine there and will have no eye relief issues should you do that. Speaking of mounting it on the rifle, I guess we'll show you how to do that. It's very, very simple. These ones are already preset, but if your rail is a little bit out of spec, as a lot of rails out there are, you'll learn if you haven't learned that already. When it's in the open mode here, you can just turn this little knob on this side to either loosen or tighten it, and it's the exact same on this mount over here. So in the open mode, which we have it here, just set it on there. You're just going to line it up with one of your 1913 style rails, push forward slightly as you want to do whenever you're mounting any optic, and then just tighten it down. It should be pretty tight. The way I just had to turn it down there, where it's very solid on there, is how you want it. Now, your magnifier, you're going to set it up. I personally prefer it to be somewhat close. There are people that like to keep it further away for whatever reason. Personal preference, I suppose. And at this point, we're going to tighten our lever down as well. You can see sort of the relation as it lines up here with your charging handle, and you can see, as I was shooting earlier, really no issues with eye relief for most AR pattern or even the Tabor or other rifles out there you want to set it up with. And adjustability at this point is relatively easy. We'll turn it around for you here. You can see on the actual EXPS3 itself, you get half MOA adjustments for windage and elevation. And for those of you guys that want to see how to actually zero your EOTechs, I have a video specifically on that. I'll walk you through it in detail, but very easy to do with those half MOA clicks. And to actually center the reticle from the EXPS3 here in your magnifier, you have these little knobs back here, and you can just move it back and forth until that reticle is right in the center of your magnifier. Again, that's something on this one, the 33, that's much easier than it was on a lot of its predecessors. So it really does improve the usability of it. And you can see moving it back and forth, no issues, and plenty of clearance for your standardized backup sights as well. So if you want to actually just flip that over and hit your backup sight, if your optics go down or if they're in a blast or whatever and they're cracked, you can absolutely do that and still use it. You also, I should put that down first, have the quick detach capabilities at any time there. So to do that on both of these, you're just going to push down these little levers, loosen it up, and remove it. I suppose when reviewing an optic, you should talk about the reticle. And the reticle on the EOTech is something that a lot of folks really love. It has that one MOA dot in the middle, so for very precise shooting, it allows you to do that. And also, with the 65 MOA ring around it, it allows for quick acquisition when you have a flash sight picture, just bring your rifle up on target. The EOTech and aim point debate will probably go on forever, but no doubt one thing that folks who are on the EOTech side of that debate always point out is the reticle and how they much prefer it. Another thing that they'll point out is that the EOTech, and now currently, at least when I'm doing this video, the EXPS3 is the optic that is the standard optic for United States Special Operations Command. So a lot of folks out there will say if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I tend to agree with that. Obviously, they do a ton of testing, and actually Special Operations Command, their testing is what actually led to the EXPS3 development and the change of the battery compartment, as well as some of the other internals that I talked about earlier. So it's I guess you could say it comes out of sort of some of the deficiencies in some of the earlier lines, like I talked about with the 553, I believe, that I reviewed earlier, which is still a very good optic, but it did have that downside that I talked about in that video, and this solves it. And it really is, in my opinion, the best of the EOTechs to date. The magnifier obviously speaks for itself. You have very clear glass in there, as you'd expect from EOTech, especially at the price point that these are coming to market at. Now, these Optics Planet versions are really identical to the standard non-Optics Planet versions, but some of you guys who are EOTech junkies will know that Optics Planet, along, I guess it was a few years ago, worked together with EOTech on the development of the EXPS2, and they had an exclusive brand on that for a while. That's sort of expired now, but Optics Planet's been with EOTech for a while. And this package together, I believe, over at their site this morning when I checked it. Now, again, if you guys are watching this down in the future, as of right now, it's the end of 2014. If you're watching this 2016, it may have changed, so don't come at me. But I believe the combo together was $1,069. However, remember, guys, viewers of this channel always get the Mr. Guns and Gear discount on anything that Optics Planet offers. So I always want to thank Optics Planet for offering that discount to the viewers. I believe it's 5%, and the code is right here at the bottom. Just enter in my name, and it'll give you a discount across the board on anything, to include this set here. But really, like I said, it's an excellent product. I'm not just saying that because I've said it before I had these in as evidence here on the channel. So really, it's just top-notch gear. If you have the budget for it, it's something I'd definitely take a good look at. If you guys have any questions about these optics that I didn't cover here in the video, you can always post below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.